What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Ipswich 1, Tottenham 4. Spurs went up to East Anglia and absolutely mowed down the Tractor Boys, and it was a joy to behold. It was a great day, all in all, yesterday, with Spurs getting a resounding win. 3 wins in their last 3 Premier League games, 2 clean sheets in that. And
Carlsberg did Saturdays.
You know what I mean? And Arsenal losing as well.
Chelsea losing.
Chelsea
Beautiful.
lost as well. Yeah, all great stuff. All great stuff. So I couldn't be more delighted with yesterday. And yeah, I guess we'll just get straight into the match preview. I was up there yesterday, and the fans were just incredible. I don't know if you could hear it on TV.
Yeah, we could.
But
constant support.
It was constant. It really was constant, mixed in with Levy out, support for the team, everything that you wanted from an away support, and it was so loud. I barely heard it. I don't think I heard one Ipswich song pretty much all day. That's how loud.
Well, when I mean,
away support was.
I can only judge from what I saw on TV and from what I was hearing. What obviously we're doing the watch along, but what I could hear in my headphones was quite early on. It seemed the Ipswich fans were very loud, but then after about 15 minutes, it seemed as though Tottenham fans took over, and that's all I could hear after that point.
Even like before the game started, Spurs fans were really loud. So maybe it was just that anxiety for the first 10 minutes. Spurs did get bloody opened up quite easily in those opening 10-15 minutes, and we could have found ourselves about 2 or 3 goals down. It felt like we weren't expecting the physicality of like Liam Delap. He was like really bodying Archie Gray. Vicario made a few really good saves, and that was pretty much the only time he got called into action pretty much all game.
Yeah, it was when I saw Ipswich's lineup, they had a front 4 of Delap, Hutchinson, Clark and Philogene. So I saw that, I'm like, okay, they're coming for us. They have no fear going into this game. And what I was saying before the game to Barry is clearly they think they can come at us and they can attack us and, you know, win the game that way. And that's so I do expect probably to come under pressure early on. But what we got to do is, even when we come under pressure, we might concede a few chances, but we got to show them is if they come at us, that we can be more devastating, more clinical if you leave that space in behind. And thankfully, that's exactly what we showed, because they had those early chances, that early flurry. And it's interesting that we talk about Porro getting caught out on his right-hand side. That's exactly what happened to Spence right at the beginning as well. They cut through our midfield in that first minute very easily. I think, what was his name? Cayuste, I think his name is. Just he did a pirouette in between Decky and Bergvall. He then breezes past Bentancur. He then plays in Delap on that left-hand side. Gray couldn't keep up with him. He had a shot. Vicario tips it away, and then they had a follow-up shot from Philogene, which luckily it hit Hutchinson on the line. Otherwise, it probably would have been a goal. So we did get a big strike of luck on that occasion, and it seemed as though that set the tone well for the first 10 minutes anyway, where Delap was just running at Gray. I think he kind of targeted him. I felt like that. But what's interesting is I felt after that initial period, Gray did grow into it, and he did kind of adjust to deal with Delap. And I thought Delap, after that initial period, wasn't as much of an influence, but definitely in the first 10 minutes, he was really hard to deal with. And when he gets those shots going, he has got unbelievable power behind those shots, doesn't he? From any angle.
Hit the post as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Hit the post with a header, which was a good effort. That would have been a great header if that went in. But just the power, the sheer power he gets behind his shots, and very little backlift on his left foot or right foot. And he's got unbelievable upper body strength. He just shoves people away. There was that one chance there, I think it was his second chance. I've watched it back, and it looked like Gray got absolutely burnt, and then Delap actually just puts the shot wide. But actually, looking back, I think Gray gets a touch on the ball, which I think puts Delap off and makes him put it wide. So I think Gray probably deserves a bit more credit than maybe I initially thought, because it initially looked like he just got absolutely burnt all ends up, and Delap just put it wide. But it looks like actually Gray might have got a touch on the ball, because also after that moment, you see Delap complaining that there wasn't a corner, and I think maybe he had a point. But we rode the storm. I think after 5 minutes, we'll probably have flashbacks to the Villa game, flashbacks to other games in recent weeks where we started slowly. In fact, if we're being honest, if that goal goes in the first minute, it's probably a carbon copy of the way Villa scored as well. So that's definitely something that we need to sort out. I do think it was actually more of a midfield problem than it is a back four problem, because the way they just carved open our midfield in that first minute was really concerning. But on this occasion, we got the bit of luck. Didn't go in. I guess maybe it shows the difference again between Vicario and Kinski, because Kinski let in a very similar shot to Delap scored and Vicario kept it out. And we went on and took control of the game from that point.
Yeah, I think so. And, the stats show that Ipswich had 3 big chances throughout the 90 minutes yesterday, and 3 of them, I think they all came in the first 10, 15 minutes. And that just shows you, how dominant I thought we were after that initial period. And what you're talking about with Porro and Spence, both leaving that space in behind them, that says to me that it's clearly like a structural problem and a tactical problem more than a personnel problem.
No, I agree. That's what I've always said. I think it's Porro's asked to go up, and so is Spence. And I think that's the risk you take. If your pressing gets bypassed like it was, then there's going to be a big gap there, and especially when teams are very direct and you got basically aren't putting the challenges in, and you allow them to get into your back four. I think because we ask our fullback to press quite high, especially clearly from the start we were, and that's the risk you run. I think a lot of systems have risk versus reward kind of things, and if certain things get exploited, then you're going to be left leaving that space, and that's exactly what happened again with Spence in the opening minute, and it's what happened. We've seen happen with Porro a few times.
Yeah, I think. From when we took control till the end of the game, I think the clear standout player for me in the first half from that moment on was Sonny. I thought Sonny out on that left-hand side was taking on his fullback. Ben Godfrey must be having sleepless nights of Sonny because Ben Godfrey did not know how to handle him. He got hauled off at half-time as well. I don't know if that was an injury or just a tactical
Well, he got booked as well. I think he was just having an almighty tough time.
He kept going and having a go at him. Having a go, and he got 2 assists out of it. And it looked like the Sonny of old in that performances. But I am starting to worry a little bit because you only see these kind of Sonny performances right now against like maybe the so-called lesser opposition. So, I'm delighted with his performances, and I'm delighted maybe of how he's contributing to the team all season. I know he's scored goals in big games this season, but I'm talking about a proper dominant Sonny performance like we saw yesterday. It seems to be coming against a lot lesser opposition.
Yeah, I think in recent weeks that's definitely for sure, because we played Villa and we played Liverpool and he was not good in those games. And then some other games against like Leicester, Elfsborg, Hoffenheim, and obviously this game he was really good. So I think in recent weeks, definitely true. I think in this period where we've this season, I think he struggled like the rest of the team. But I also think there's an element to it where we play 1 game a week at the moment for the last few games, and I think he's definitely showing a better side to himself. He's looking fresher. Yeah. He's looking more confident. So let's see, on Wednesday against Man City if he can pull another performance out of the bag. But there might be a case for that, because at the moment that's definitely the current theme. But I wouldn't say off the back of yesterday I'm worried, but I think over the season that does seem to be more the case. But look, we've lost enough games against smaller sides to know that you still need to do it against smaller sides.
No, I'm not using it as a slight against. I love Sonny. Everyone knows my love for Sonny, and I loved his performance yesterday. I thought he was our biggest threat, biggest outlet, most impressive player in that first half, in my opinion. And he just didn't give Ben Godfrey a moment's rest. And the way he was taking it past him with ease, those little step overs and shifts to the side, unbelievable to watch. And
that's what an Ange winger wants. What he wants in his wing as well.
Exactly. And he was putting on a plate for Brennan Johnson. From the stands, for me, it actually looked like the first one was an own goal. If you go back and look at the vlog, me and Danny were like, was that an own goal? But now Brennan kind of just like ghosted in there and got a touch on the ball. And the second one, wasn't too dissimilar in terms of the Sonny assist. So, he really put us kind of in the ascendancy.
Yeah, and it wasn't just... it was obviously when he got on the ball and he was doing those Sonny classic trademark step overs and setting up chances, but it's also the timing of the runs. It was also brilliant passes from Gray and Bentancur in behind, and that's also a trait of Son that I think a lot of people overlook, is his ability to time his runs to perfection, and how often he's on that last line and he's on the cusp of being offside, but always keeps himself on, just with that amazing timing. And I think he's perfected that over the years, and I think yesterday you could see for those 2 goals the way he just got in behind Godfrey perfectly into the space, and then the way he uses the ball when he did get in the space was absolutely brilliant. And when Sonny's in that kind of form, he's irresistible, and when he's in that kind of form, you're like, that's exactly how Ange wants his wingers to play, getting to the byline, setting up chances, being able to go both ways, causing problems for the fullback and being relentless. And Sonny was in top form yesterday. It was a delight to watch. And and obviously the 2 assists were absolutely brilliant, but also got to give credit to Graham Bentancur because brilliant passes in behind from both of them.
What a ball from Gray for that first goal. On the money, literally just took out their defence, didn't he, with that ball, finding Sonny in behind, and he does what he did. But I think Gray's ball was spectacular. It really was. And seeing it live in the flesh right in front of you, you really kind of, it just looks incredible. It really did. And I think Gray, whatever you want to say about him in the first 10, 15 minutes, in terms of, he did get overrun a little bit, I felt like whenever he's on the ball, he just provides so much quality for us.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's made it work at centre-back, because of how good he's been, mainly on the ball, and his ability to find passes like that and build up. You got to cast your mind back to the Galatasaray game. He did a very similar pass to Brennan Johnson, didn't he, in that game, which set up a goal. He's obviously got an unbelievable passing range, and I think that is one of the main reasons we brought him, because of that quality. And the ball over the top just opened up Ipswich, and it's those kind of moments that you need to kind of open up the opposition when you're struggling to break them down, and those moments of quality can make the difference, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and Bentancur as well, a lovely ball for him for the second goal. And yeah, we were talking about this in the car on the way in. We were saying like Bentancur was a very up and down game from him yesterday, wasn't it? Like just losing the ball in such sloppy ways, where if you're that lone 6, you can't really be doing that, particularly against better opposition. He kind of got away with it against Ipswich yesterday, but he did provide moments of quality, and I thought like for the majority of it, he did keep the ball ticking over and kept the ball moving and kind of dictating the tempo from the base. But he does have that kind of sloppiness about him.
Yeah, which is, I don't know where it's come from, because it's not something especially when Bentancur was at his best, you associate with him. But definitely, I would say in this season, I think definitely at times he's been guilty of that. And I think you saw in the first minute the way he just allowed COYS to breeze past him like he wasn't there, and that's like our 6. You can't allow that to happen. You got to bring him down if he's getting past you, even if it's in the first minute. You can't allow them to get in our back 4. Some of his sloppy passing was really frustrating, but I also think there was a lot of good stuff from Bentancur. The way there was a period, it was at that moment he wins the ball in the middle of the park, strides past 2 players from the Ipswich team, and he has a shot. There was obviously the pass for the goal as well. There was some really good tone-setting passes. The way he was kind of dictating play at times in the middle was also pretty impressive. So it was a bit of a hot and cold performance from Bentancur. I do feel like I agree. If we're playing better opposition, maybe we're talking here a bit more frustrated, because maybe it would have cost us. But thankfully in this game, the good outweighed the bad, probably.
Another player that really impressed me throughout was Kevin Danso, and the fans have really taken to him. He's built like an ox, man. He's so strong, isn't he, Kevin Danso? And he's so aggressive. He gets into the middle area of the park, and he loves to stride forward with the ball. And I think when you're looking at a defender and suit for the system, I mean, he suits it down to a T, doesn't he? And without Romero, we really were kind of missing that kind of aggressive nature, that guy that's just going to stride forward with that power that he has. And also at the back, he's just so strong. Not to say that, he did make a mistake yesterday for the goal that we conceded. I thought, you just got to get rid of the ball and just get it out, basically. But I think apart from that moment, I thought he didn't really put a foot wrong.
Yeah, and I just love his bravery, the way he steps into midfield. He goes out wide, plays 1-2s. He's not afraid to receive the ball under pressure. I really like that about him. But obviously, I do think sometimes it leads to some rash decisions, and sometimes he receives the ball in not a good situation and he's forced to either get rid of it and rush his decisions. But I think he seems to be quite fearless. He seems to not be scared of receiving the ball in dangerous areas. Like, there was that one moment, first of all, the third goal, I think it was, he started the move to Odebear and started that build up to get that third goal. But again, there was a moment he strode over to the left-hand side. He does a 1-2 with Spence, and all of a sudden he's the one running at the Ipswich back line. And like, I'm just again imagining, like Dragoshin doing that. Like, he would never do that. It's just not, even like Davis, I think, like, wouldn't really be interested in doing that kind of thing. And I think Danso, is clearly very, very brave, and I really like that about him, and I think Ange really appreciates that about him, and I think he's really fitted in well so far in the first few games. You've got to remember as well, he's probably had two different partners. He's had a partner with Davis, he's partnered with Gray for a lot of the games, and he's been thrown into the deep end. And I think obviously it was a really tough first couple of games against Villa and Liverpool, but I think he has done really, really well, and I think the more he settles in, the better he's going to get. It was interesting to hear Ange after the game was talking about why he swapped Gray and Danso, because he said before he was playing Danso on the right and Gray on the left, and he swapped it for this game, and he said we want to get Danso used to that left-hand side because we might need to use him in that position from now to the end of the season. So I wonder if that's telling me that if he's going to rotate with Van de Ven on that side, potentially.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it, and I think it will be the smart move to do, because you don't want to risk another reoccurrence of this Van de Ven injury. In this Europa League run, it's going to be really important to keep Van de Ven fit. But I think with the way Danso's playing, and with the two centre-backs that we have coming back, Van de Ven and Romero, you've got to give Danso some minutes. You can't. I don't think it's right to give Danso maybe the Dragoshin treatment, where basically if Romero and Van de Ven are fit, they definitely play. Because I think Danso has shown a lot more of what he can do in this system. And I'm looking at Dragoshin, and I'm looking at him compared to Danso. Not only does Danso completely fit the system, but Dragoshin really does not fit the system. I'm not saying Dragoshin's a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. I like Dragoshin, but in hindsight, it probably was a wrong signing because of the way we play.
You just see the difference.
Yeah.
You can just see the difference. Well, I mean, Dragoshin played the first game against Ipswich, didn't he? And he was awful.
Yeah.
And it was a big reason why we probably didn't win that game. And you can just see the difference having someone who's the right profile fit, and what a difference that can make to the team in the back line.
It just feels like Danso's been here for so long, like because of the way he's like seamlessly slotted into that back line. Like, it seems like he's been playing with these players for so long, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he hasn't even played a single game with Romero or Van de Ven yet. So you can imagine what a good partnership, two of those three could potentially make. And I think I'm really happy we've brought him in. And I think let's just hope he can, keep up this kind of level of play. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays against City. Obviously, another big test for him and for the team on Wednesday. But I think he's really settled in well, and I think Ange will be delighted with how he started.
Yeah, so obviously on 36-minute mark, just about 10 minutes before half-time, they get their goal with Amari Hutchinson. Really good goal from a Ipswich perspective, but I thought poor defending from a Spurs perspective. And then when that goal goes in, you're thinking, oh, here we go again.
I thought Spence and Danso were poor in that goal, to be honest. Spence ran into trouble, couldn't play his way out of trouble. Danso as well didn't clear his lines, should be clearing the ball. And I think as well, he spends way too long on the ground when he goes down, because Hutchinson scores the goal where Danso should be. So if Danso gets up quick enough and gets back in position, that goal doesn't happen. But he doesn't, and there was Hutchinson to bury it. Brilliant finish from Hutchinson, to be fair, right into the corner. Vicario can do very little, but at that point, again, because of the way Ipswich started, as much as we got a couple of goals, it was so frustrating the way that goal goes in at that time as well, when we'd literally taken the game by the scruff of the neck. It's ours. The game's in our hands, and that moment just allowed Ipswich a little route back into the game, and especially just before half time, and that was really frustrating. And you're thinking, when that goal goes in, you're like, this game is far from over. Ipswich, we've given up leads this season. Ipswich, the way they started with that intensity, if they can recapture that, they're going to put us under pressure. And to be fair, I thought in the first, 10 minutes of the second half, not that we were bad. We were bad, I would say, but no. But I would say in the first of 10 minutes, no, what I meant to say was not that they created loads of chances, Ipswich, but they were putting us under a lot of pressure. And we were doing stupid things, making stupid fouls around the box, giving away cheap free kicks, giving away the ball sloppily in the middle of the park. And it just seemed as though we were going to be the archetypes of our own downfall. And then the moment happened where they get that goal to make it 2-2. And at that point, I was absolutely fuming, because you saw it coming. You saw that goal coming the way we were playing. And I think we got a bit of reprieve with the offside. And I think maybe that just woke us up a bit, that goal.
Yeah, I did think it was maybe a case of maybe some tired legs going into the second half, and we didn't come out with the same energy that maybe we had for the majority of the first half. And when we did make the changes, when Ange made the changes, that just swinged it back into our favour. Because up until the changes, I think there was 0 shots on target on both sides. In the second half, it was just such a nothing game. Nothing was happening really, apart from maybe Ipswich threatening a little bit, but it was a nothing game.
Very little, we
offered nothing, and Johnson and Udogie go off. Porro and Maddison come on, and Maddison straight away, bang, involved in that goal. Maybe about 10 minutes later with Jed Spence, lovely little interchange with Maddison and Jed Spence, and Jed Spence, fortuitously gets a bit of a deflection and it goes in the back of the net. But I think it was reward for good changes from Ange Postecoglou. I think the changes definitely swung the game in our to the momentum in our favour. And Jed Spence, first Premier League goal and reward for the good form that he's been on for the last couple of months. But again, he was a top display again yesterday. Yeah,
I thought he was brilliant again, Spence, and I thought again one of our better players. I actually thought he looked a bit better on the left than he did on the right, funnily enough. But I thought another really, really top display. I thought defensively was really good actually for the majority of the game, and then obviously got his reward going forward. And I thought his link-up play with Son and Odebear down that side when he went over there was really, really effective, and he got a reward for his goal with a look. He got in the right position. I thought the goal was pretty much. It was good link-up play actually for the whole team. Danso, Odebear, Spence, and then Maddison. But yeah, the goal definitely owes a lot to Maddison because his twinkle toes in between 3 Ipswich defenders inside the box. It's underestimated how hard that is to do when you're surrounded by defenders and you've got to keep the ball away from them and still find a pass as well. And I thought it was an exceptional assist. It reminded me very similar to Decky's assist earlier in the season. I think it was to Basuma against Everton. Very similar in the box, just weaving in and out of challenges and setting up. This time he set up Spence, and it definitely breathed a big sigh of relief at 3-1 because at 2-1, the anxiety was still there. At any moment, you felt like Ipswich could, get a moment of luck or get back in the game and just have an attack, and you wouldn't. You're worried that Ipswich were going to grab an equaliser, but that goal just settled the nerves, and as soon as that went in, it was game over really.
Yeah, and I really like how Maddison has come back from this injury, because first half against Manchester United last week, I thought he was brilliant. Always wanting the ball, always wanting to dictate the tempo, always looking to move forward and hurt the opposition. Great passing on show, and I think this coming on in when we really needed him, when the game was in the balance at 2-1. I thought he again grabbed the game a bit by the scruff of the neck yesterday and came on and really charged us onto that win.
Yeah, and I think what difference it makes when you can bring subs on, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think we've really lacked that luxury in the last 2 months and in the last few games. I think the players coming back, you can just see it's all there for all to see what a difference it's made. I think with them coming back and also the players coming back off the bench. So Ange finally has options to choose from. I think the subs are making a difference. I think the players coming back from injury and who are being put in the starting 11 are making a big difference. We didn't talk about Johnson much, but he got another couple of goals yesterday, and that's 14 goals now in the season for him.
What I want to say about Johnson is, everyone was saying the same thing at half-time. How the hell is Brennan Johnson on 2 goals here at half-time?
He actually didn't do much, did he?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is just like Brennan Johnson in a nutshell, though, isn't it? You don't really see him for the whole game. When he gets the ball, he's not charging at his fullback. He's not looking to take his man on. And he's not really impacting the game too much. However, what I want to say about Brennan Johnson is I actually think he's elite at his positioning, at his getting into the areas to hurt the opposition. He's actually elite at that.
Well, look, I said it before, Sterling used to get 10, 15 goals a season just doing that, getting at the back post and getting those tap-ins.
The thing is with Sterling, though, Sterling would have games where he just, is relentless and takes on his man, and he had that to his game as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's as good as Sterling. I'm just saying my point being is, Sterling had a really good goal output when he was at City. Literally, for a lot of the fact was he would just get there at that back post. He was faster than his defenders, and when the ball was played across, he was there constantly. And Johnson seems to have that down to a T. And look, the thing in football is it's always the hardest thing to score goals. And I always don't get the criticism when people say all he does is score. I understand what they're trying to say. He doesn't impact the game enough, and he needs to be doing more or when he's not scoring. And I understand that, but if you're scoring the amount of goals he does, he's worth having around. He's worth being in the team. If he's always capable of popping up the goal, even when he's not having a good game, that's an invaluable asset to have.
100%.
And the guy's on 14 goals. He's got 9 Premier League goals now. I think, there's a chance he gets 20 goals this season. That's an unbelievable return for a player who a lot of people criticise constantly and say he's not good enough, all these things, and he's held up as a bad signing because we signed him for 50 million, and why we're spending money on these kind of players. And it's another example of Ange knowing how to use him as well and how to get him in those positions. And I think that Ange deserves a lot of credit for that as well. And the guy is still young. He's still 22, 23. I mean, he's not like a youngster, but he's not old.
He's young.
Yeah, he's young. So he can definitely be getting better, and maybe he will start to impact games once he breaks out, but after maybe a few more years, and once he learns the game a bit more. He's still young at this level. This is his 3rd season in the Premier League. So yeah, I mean, he's not inexperienced or anything like that. I'm just saying he can get better as well. And when he's at this level, he's already got a really good goal return, and hopefully that could even increase.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at wingers at Tottenham, right, and what the Spurs fans are used to, Spurs fans are used to seeing wingers with style and panache and being able to take on a man and put good crosses in the box. I mean, the crossing that we saw from Brennan last year with that lone-driven cross, I mean, we don't really see that too much this season. That's kind of gone out of his game. And I don't understand why, because he got so many assists in that manner last season. But this year, he's getting so many more goals and just like kind of darting into the right positions. Like when he gets into that box, he comes alive. But when you compare him to maybe top Spurs wingers of the past, he just doesn't impact the game, right? You're looking at, I know I'm going to name unbelievable players right now, but you're looking at the Bales and the Ginolas and the Lennons, and like they're all really exciting to watch. I don't think Brennan Johnson is like that exciting to watch.
No, but
that's the issue.
Who got more goals? Maybe apart from Bale, he probably got more goals than Ginola.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he's elite. He's elite in his positional play, where the Lennons and these kind of guys weren't elite at that positional play. He's better than all of those guys at actually drifting into the box and coming alive maybe not Bale, but coming in alive in the box.
Yeah, and I think that you can't overlook that, and it might be not as nice to look at sometimes, and it's not as exciting watching a player tap it in from 2 yards rather than smash it in from 25. But a goal's a goal; they both count for the same thing, don't they? So that's what I've always said about Brennan. He's not the best player in the world. He's not the best winger in the world, but he's effective. He is absolutely effective, and he gets goals, and he will get goals for us consistently if he starts consistently. And yes, maybe he could,
or even off the bench.
Yeah, and even off the bench. And yes, we can upgrade on him. Don't get me wrong. There are players who are better than him for sure, who would probably might even be a better fit in the team, who could also do what he's doing potentially, and also affect the game off the ball, but maybe a bit more than Brennan. But as long as he's scoring the amount of goals he's going to have a justified place in the squad.
The thing is, though, with Brennan, right, because of the skill set that he has in terms of the pace that he has, like, we know that he could be doing a lot more on that right-hand side and taking on his man, getting crosses in and impacting the game a bit more. I think that is a thing that frustrates a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well. And I think sometimes he gets the ball and he's too scared to take on his man. He doesn't go around the outside. Sometimes he be a bit kind of wasteful when it comes to getting barged off the ball too many times. He's not strong enough, and those things he has to improve. Don't get me wrong, we know he's got weaknesses in his game, but I just think he gets too much criticism. I think people call him rubbish and awful and terrible signing, and some people, we've got to remember beginning of the season, people were more making him delete his Instagram because of all the criticism, and he's just. I also think he's like an easy player to target because of we spend a lot of money on him, and he has clear weaknesses in his game. Don't get me wrong; they're there for all to see, his weaknesses. So I think he becomes an easy target. But I think he deserves a lot more credit for the job he does do and how he gets on the end of these chances. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for that because, as I said, the hardest thing to do in football is score goals, and it's an invaluable asset to have.
100% is an invaluable asset. And when you're looking at squad building, and to have Brennan Johnson plus one that's better than him on the right-hand side, it'll be an unbelievable thing for our squad, because you'll have someone that maybe is a bit easier on the eye to watch, someone that can take on his man, and someone can impact the game a bit more. And then maybe a Brennan Johnson from the bench who can get you a goal, he could be like an elite super sub, Brennan Johnson.
And we saw that last year mainly, didn't we? He used to come off the bench regularly and change the game and get goals. So Yeah, I think we need another option on the wing. Don't get me wrong, but fair play Johnson, another couple of goals and keeps ticking along.
Yeah, a player that really shone for me in the second half was Lucas Bergvall. Wow, what a player Lucas Bergvall is going to be, and already is. I mean, such a tenacious player. He puts himself about as an 18-year-old. Sometimes when he's on the ball, you just can't touch him. There was that one moment, wasn't it, when Brendan could have got his hat-trick, when he just drove through the centre of the park. No one could touch him. And the Ipswich players were just watching him just go past. And it was just like, what a talent we have on our hands with Lucas Bergvall. 18 years of age. And he's slotted into Premier League life in the last couple of months, just like he's a seasoned pro. And he wins the ball back consistently in the middle of the park. He drives us forward, always looking forward. I mean, the guy is a phenomenon, and I think like when you're looking at Bergvall and maybe what he's done in recent weeks, I felt like he has been tiring and suffering from fatigue, but I felt like in this game he was actually getting better as the game wore on.
Yeah, what I love about Bergvall is when he picks up the ball, he's got an ability to basically turn any direction. And I was just watching his individual highlights just before the stream started, and the amount of times he just leaves players on their arse because they can't keep up with where he's twisting and turning. And I described him as an ice skater because he just kind of glides in any direction, and like you don't think he's moving quickly, but all of a sudden he's past you before you even know it. And that is something that is really difficult to do. There are so many players, like you, for example, like Sarr. It feels like when Sarr picks up the ball, he kind of has to run in a straight line, or he has to run in like certain different like straight directions. So he can't turn in any which way. But it seems like Bergvall, I mean, it's I'm talking about it sitting in a swivvy chair. It feels like he's in a swivvy chair when he plays. He can just turn in any direction and you don't know which way he's going to go. And he's got unbelievable balance and unbelievable the way he takes the ball on and glides past players. It's absolutely incredible, and it's so hard to stop when you're an opposition player. And you can see the players struggling to stop him on so many occasions, especially yesterday. And it's so beautiful to watch as well. It's something that's so aesthetically pleasing, I would say.
It's like when you compare him and Brennan Johnson in terms of on the eye, how good they are to watch, like night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Lucas Bergvall at the I just can't believe he's 18 watching him play.
And that was that one moment he did.
He's so mature for his age.
He was contesting with a duel, and he didn't just go in to win the duel. He did a ball roll and then a flick, like a nutmeg or something on the player, which was and that actually, what I love about Bergvall when he does these things. Sometimes I get frustrated when players do those kind of things when it's just showboating. But what Bergvall usually does those kind of things when it's to progress the ball or actually be effective and get the play forward. Sometimes I see players doing it when there's no need to do a showboat and actually it slows the game down. But he does it effectively, and that's what I love about him. And I think he's getting better and better. I don't even think that was his best performance, but in a Spurs shirt. But I think he's now getting a really good base level of performance in the Premier League, and I think he's developing so nicely. And I think he's becoming a starter on the team sheet. I don't think you can leave him out at the moment. The way he's playing, I think he's really earned his place in the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Him, Jed Spence, even Archie Gray. All these players are just really kind of coming up trumps for Tottenham Hotspur this season, in this second half of the season, with the European games to come. It couldn't have happened at a better time, to be honest. But I think once we scored that third goal, just after all the subs came on, you knew the game was done once that third goal went in. And then right at the end of the game with 5 minutes to go, Dane Scarlett wins that header in a brilliant manner. And I feel like Dane Scarlett looks very stocky now. He's got a bit of muscle about him, and I think he made much more of an impact on the game than Matisse Tell. Kulusevski, Kulusevski had a lot to do, right, after winning that header. After Scarlett won that header, and wow, what a finish from Decky. And we've sat here in this chair and called for Decky to do stuff like this, consistently since he's joined us, really. And he's got such an unbelievable shot from that range. We just don't see it enough, do we?
Yeah, I agree. And it's something that he's not been consistent enough with, I think, Decky, with his ability that he has. I think he should be doing that a lot more often. Funnily enough, it came in the 94th minute where everyone's saying, we have to give him a rest, we have to take him off, he's tired.
84th minute, yeah.
Was it? Sorry, 84th minute. He came late in the game. And
he wasn't having a great game, let's be real.
He wasn't. I didn't think he was either, but I feel like Andrew he was justified keeping him on with the goal. He didn't look tired when he scored that goal, did he, with the way he took it? Yeah. It was a brilliant finish from him. And in that moment, he's taking on I think there was like 3 Ipswich defenders. He's all by himself, and you're thinking at that point, is he going to just hold the ball up and wait for support, or is he going to go to the corner flag? But cuts inside, just whips it into that far post, kisses the post on the way in. Beautiful finish from Kulusevski, and I think it was. You can see the way he reacted to the goal as well. Like, it seemed as though there was a lot of relief coming out of him. A lot of I don't know. There was a big release from Decky there. When he scored that goal, it's like as if it was a big moment for him. So I wonder if he's aware he's not having in the best of form at the moment, and that goal was just something that he needed for himself, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. But like I said, I think you could clearly see he's suffering from fatigue and has been for a number of weeks now. And it's just a shame that Maddison got that knock against Manchester United, because I think if Maddison didn't have that knock, probably Kulusevski probably would have been on the bench for this game, and Maddison would have started, and Decky might have come on for the last 20 minutes instead of basically it would have been a role reversal of what Maddison and Decky showed in the game. But look, I'm delighted for Decky with the goal, definitely the goal of the day. Unbelievable quality from him, and to do it in that stage of the game when he's clearly fatigued is it's just a testament to him and his work rate and energy levels, even when he's fatigued.
Absolutely. And it'll be interesting. It was interesting that he did keep you on for 90, just because before the game, Ange said this is going to be a good opportunity to give some rest to the likes of Porro and Decky and Gray. And 2 of those 3 played 90 minutes. So, I mean, I guess with Gray, he didn't really have a choice. But when it comes to Decky, could he have taken him off at some point with more there potentially? But I guess if Ange would just say, look, he kept him on and he scored. So,
well, what I would say to that is that Johnson, Udogie, obviously he felt like he had to take them off because they're just coming back from injuries. That's fair. The next 2 that went off were Tell and Son. Son as well, similar to Decky and similar to Porro, has played a hell of a lot of minutes. So I'm happy that he took him off. And I felt like Son wasn't having the same impact in the first half as he had in the second. He wasn't having the same impact in the game, right? And Tell just had to come off. Probably had to come off earlier. Like, he was really poor. He just couldn't deal up with the physical presence. Couldn't hold the ball up. Every time he got the ball, it was like I don't know. He just looked really weak. He looked a bit lightweight on the pitch yesterday, and there was one moment to start an attack for Tell, and it was a misplaced pass. I think just everything was going wrong for him a bit yesterday, and like I said before, Scarlett came on and provided a lot more of a physical presence than Tell had.
Yeah, obviously it's a different phase of the game, but Scarlett for sure showed more in his small time on the pitch than Tell did. Unfortunately, I have to call it as it is. Tell didn't have a good game, and he struggled to really impact it, and he struggled to compete. I thought every time he was up against O'Shea or Greaves in the Ipswich back line, he was coming off second best, and that wasn't great viewing, to be honest. I think obviously a lot of people I've seen on social media, as they do, writing him off, saying he's rubbish, all this kind of stuff. Obviously, give him a bit of time. He's still 19 and he's got to adjust to a new league, all these different things. We were hoping he could hit the ground running. Hasn't. No, he did score a goal against Villa, but obviously I wouldn't say he's hit the ground running. He's probably, it's been a mixed start for him, I would say. But just look, give him a bit of time. I think. Give him some more. Just don't write him off just yet after a bad game, because clearly the guy's got talent. But I think sometimes he's just got to click. He's just got to, he's got to realise he's going to have less time on the ball. You got to remember when he was playing for Bayern, a lot of the time he's coming off the bench, playing the last 20 minutes or so when Bayern are winning, and there's going to be a lot more space for him to play in. He's got to adjust to all these things. The defenders in the Premier League may be a bit more aggressive than in the Bundesliga potentially. You get less space, so there are things you've got to kind of adjust to. But he has to do it. Obviously, he has to adjust to it. Otherwise, maybe we won't take up that option. But it's only been 4 games. Let's just calm down about him.
Or 3 games.
Or 3 games,
That was his 3rd game, but...
4, because he played against Liverpool, Villa.
Oh, he played against Liverpool, yeah. I wasn't counting the Liverpool game. Yeah, you're right. So I think with Tell, I'm kind of undecided on it. Like, after seeing the Villa game, when he started on the left and then moved to the 9, I thought he looked a lot better in the 9 than he did out on the left. And then I was happy with his display last week against Manchester United, albeit he definitely should have put the ball in the back of the net, but he kept getting those opportunities, kept getting shots off, and I thought he was a nuisance for Man United for the majority of the game. Whereas this game, I just felt he just lacked the complete physical presence to compete against a physical Ipswich backline, which makes me think, like, it's something I did notice against Villa. Like, he was kind of getting pushed off the ball a bit too easy. He does look a bit lightweight. So I'm undecided where his best position in this team is right at this moment in time. Is it going to be off the left, or is it going to be at the number 9? Because against Villa and now against Ipswich, he's just looked a bit too lightweight for both positions.
Yeah, I think still again. I think still will be in the number 9. To be honest, right now I've seen a bit more from him in the number 9 than off the left. But at that age, it could change. It could be either one. So I think he's still kind of figuring that out himself. But yeah,
because I'm looking at it as like, from our number 9, we need someone, you know, to come deep, hold the ball up, bring other players into play, and you know, the role that Solanke does very well. And I'm just not sure if Tell has the physicality to do that against Premier League teams.
I think he is quite physical for his age. Anyway, I think he's definitely like decent in the air, and I think he just needs time. Give him time to adjust. I'm sure he'll be all right. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I hope so, because technical ability, he's brilliant. He's got brilliant technical ability. He just needs to bulk up a little bit, in my opinion, and then I think we'll see the best of him. But look, they'll know on the training ground. Ange will know, the coaching staff will know, and his players will know how good he can be in terms of what he's showing in terms of technical ability. And I think even if he just shows that technical ability, and it will be clear to see that if he bulks up, that he'll be good, then they'll do that, and maybe we'll get even cheaper deal.
We didn't talk about it before the game because it came out in the embargo section, but obviously Spence did score yesterday, and there was talk about him being called up for England, but also there was Ange was asked about Spence, about, you know, why it took him so long to kind of get in the team and stuff like that, and he was saying that they kind of made things a bit difficult for Spence at the beginning to make sure that, you know, he really wanted to be here, and this is what he wanted to give it all. Which I thought was quite interesting for him to admit that, and say that publicly. And obviously another good performance from Spence yesterday. He's playing at such a high level at the moment. But what did you feel when you saw those quotes from Ange about Spence?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know what to make out of it. I don't know if it's true or not, but let's say it is true. It's a good. I mean, he's tested him, basically. He's saying he tested him, right, to see if his mentality is strong enough to kind of survive these kind of knockdowns that he kept consistently giving him, which is fair enough. And I think in a normal world, I think I would have said, yeah, that's really good stuff from Ange. But the reality is that we only had one left back going into this season, and Spencer's clearly shown that he can be a left back. So I think with the state of the squad and with the injuries that we kept getting, I feel like Ange should definitely have used him earlier than he did. And yeah, fine, he's testing Spence to see if he can do it in the future, but we needed someone then and there, and we didn't need to keep overplaying these players. So I kind of look at it both ways.
Yeah, I just think, you know, would we look at Spence now and look how good he is on such a consistent basis, and I think, you know, Ange, however he's dealt with the situation, clearly Spence, you know, hasn't really seen any ill feeling towards Ange Postecoglou for how he's been treated or anything like that. And in fact, it's maybe gotten something out of him which maybe other managers haven't been able to get. And he's playing at such a high level now. I think, yeah, I mean, it's frustrating the way he didn't get game time at the beginning, for sure. And we were all saying we need to be using him more. But I just look at Spence now and I think maybe he and we will be better for it, for the way it was handled overall. Because
I guess we'll never know, though, will we?
I guess we'll never know, but I mean, the way he is now, it's so exciting, and he's now playing so well on both sides.
But the reality was, Sim, that he was playing, maybe not to this high standard, but he was still playing to a high standard in pre-season, and the minimal minutes that he did get in the first half of the season. So
yeah, but there's one thing doing it against Hearts in pre-season, you know what I mean, and doing it consistently.
Manchester United, he was doing it. I know Coventry, Championship opposition, but in the small minutes that he was getting, no matter who it was against, he was performing at a good level.
Yeah, he was playing well. I think he's taken it up a notch. But he was showing
he's getting more minutes.
Yeah, but I think he's playing at a really unbelievable level at the moment. He's probably one of the informed fullbacks in the league right now. So I think to get that level of performance out of him is something that I don't think any of us expected, to be honest. As much as we hoped he would be good and we saw his potential at Forest, even when he broke into the team back in January, I don't think anyone expected he'd be this good.
Yeah, it's true, but we don't know if Ange would have given him a go early on. We wouldn't have seen this earlier.
No, maybe we don't know. We don't know.
So I mean, you can see it for what it is, and saying, yeah, Ange has done brilliantly to get him to this point in the second half of the season and to show this great form. But we don't know if we wouldn't have seen it in the first half of the season. And in the small minutes that he did get, we were seeing good levels. And we also saw that Destiny Udogie kept having to come on in the Europa League games and ultimately got injured. And Pedro Porro has been played more than anyone in Europe's top 6 leagues. So, I think he should have managed the squad a bit better.
I understand that, but we don't know what was going on behind closed doors. We don't know exactly what Spencer's actions have been like and why he's felt the need to treat him like, or test him like he did. Like, we don't know. Maybe Ange could give you some anecdotes and you'd be like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, it could be.
Maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Don't know.
No. Just saying, but there's a reason he's done that, was my point.
I think the reason he's done it is because of his past. I don't think it's anything that... I don't know. Like, obviously, this is just what...
I've heard he said a few things to... I mean, I've heard from someone, I've heard he did say a few things to Ange himself.
When?
But like in, I think, I can't remember if it was last season or this season, like at the beginning. That was quite disrespectful. That's what I heard from. I don't know how true it is, but like if that's true, then I kind of understand. Like, is he that even though he's playing well in pre-season and stuff, like, does he actually have that desire to be like a first choice player here, or is he just kind of having a few games in pre-season, is going to whittle away and his attitude problems are going to come back, kind of thing? So I kind of understand that, but the
thing that you were talking about with Ange, wasn't that just before he went out to Genoa?
I don't know. I can't remember when it was. It
I'm
might be.
Sure, I heard something about a similar thing just before he went out to Genoa. So maybe it might be coming back from that.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying that's not just past. That's to do with how he's dealt with Ange as well. Since he's been in the club. So, I mean, if that's true, then maybe he could say he had good reason for it. But I think what we can definitely say now is he's playing at an unbelievable level.
Yeah, and look, credit to him. Credit to Ange, credit to everyone, but I think mainly credit to Spence, because the way
and that's what he said himself, Ange.
Yeah.
He said it's 99% Spence.
Yeah, so I think mainly credit to Spence, the way he's conducting himself, the way he's dominating, whether he be on the left or the right. I think he's performing at such a high level, and I think Tuchel will be stupid if he doesn't call him up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think he has to. Who else is really going to be ahead of him? I can't.
In terms of left back or right back?
I mean, left back probably, because we don't really have any of the left backs.
You've got Lewis Hall and you've got Lewis Skelly.
I think Spence is playing better than Skelly.
Well, especially now after that sending off.
Exactly.
Lewis Hall's had a great season.
Lewis Hall's playing well. But I think Spence recent weeks, I don't know, he's just been so good.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that new left backs are starting to emerge for England now.
Could he be a shout for Player of the Month? Two man of the match performances. Got a goal yesterday.
Yeah, he could be. Look, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Jed Spence at the moment, and let's just hope it continues from now to the end of the season. And if it does, if this form continues from now to the end of the season, I mean, surely he's going to get a nomination for our Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think he's got a good shout with his consistency. If he can keep up this level of consistency, he might well do, in fact. But in terms of overall picture after that win, I'm just seeing Forest go 1-0 up. In terms of overall picture with the win, still in 12th, obviously. 7 points, I think, from the top half still.
Yeah.
So still quite a lot catching up to do. But 3 wins in a row. How are we feeling about everything?
We're feeling a lot better than we were feeling a few weeks ago, that's for sure. Yeah, look, since the injured players come back, it's 2 wins on the bounce, Manchester United and now against Ipswich. I think bigger tests obviously still to come in the next couple of weeks, with Man City on Wednesday night, and then we could play Bournemouth, Fulham, Chelsea. So, I mean, all 4 of them are going to be a lot bigger tests than what we've just had against Manchester United and against Ipswich yesterday. So, yeah, I'm still reserving a lot of judgment to see if we can go on a real big, consistent run of form. But it's definitely a great start to getting the players back, and in terms of getting Ange back on side with Ange for the long term. But I think I want to see a lot more still, and I want to see it over a big stretch of time.
First time we've won 3 Premier League games in a row since December 23.
I saw that yesterday. It's mad.
December 2023. which was
Not
not in
10 games last season.
No, it wasn't the first 10 games. It was December.
Oh, December.
So it was.
I thought it was the first 10 games.
No, December.
What was the games?
Don't know.
What 3 Premier League games we won in December? Oh,
In a
fair
row.
enough. Still a long time.
Yeah, December 23. So it's first time since then. I think they are still. I think we are getting better, and as the games go by, as players come back and they get back more up to full fitness and get reintegrated to the team, we are. There are signs of us getting better, which is really positive. And I think, hopefully, Van der Ven and Romero are not too far around the corner as well. And I think it's really encouraging. It's really encouraging. It was a 4-1 win. How many games have we won by 3 or more goals? That must be our 6th or 7th win by 3 or more goals, which is really, really good stuff as well.
You got West Ham, Villa, Southampton, Ipswich. Is there any more?
United City.
And Everton.
So what was that? 8? No. 8. What? 8 of our 10 wins have been by 3 or more goals then.
Must be, yeah. Wow.
Which is pretty.
So when we beat teams, we batter them.
Yeah, which is
We just
really
don't do it very
good.
often.
So that's really good. And look, obviously, I think the real test will come on Wednesday to see where we're truly at the moment.
Yeah.
Because, I'd love to sit here and say, we're back and it's only going to be upwards from here. But I don't think yesterday it was a weird game. Like I thought we were fine. But I did think 4-1 probably flattered us a bit.
Definitely.
I don't think it was a 4-1 game. I think we deserved to win. Don't get me wrong. We were the better team, but 4-1 probably flattered us a bit. I don't think we battered them. We were just really ruthless and clinical on the day.
I just think the game got away from them in the latter stages of the game. That's what it was.
So I think similar to the United game in a sense that good win, better. We were the better team again, but I don't think it's a performance that's going to convince anyone that we're going to go on a long winning stretch just yet. I think we're going to have to show this level of performance and better against Man City on Wednesday for people to start, taking notice.
Yeah,
probably.
No, I totally agree with that. So let's just hope we can use this as a springboard now. I mean, we've said those words so many times this season, and it's never really materialised. But now we have those 3 Premier League wins behind us. We've got 4 massive games in the Premier League coming up. And it's a blessing as well that I'm not saying it's a blessing we're not in the FA Cup, but we do have that break now next weekend. So we play Man City and then a week break to the RZ game. So, we should be, nicely rested for all these games coming up. Maybe not the Man City game.
And a lot of teams above us seem to be faltering at the moment. So if we can go on a run, who knows where we can finish?
Who knows?
Who knows?
But so that is our match review of the Tottenham drubbing of Ipswich, 4-1 at Portman Road.